So it was 1999. I was an emerging speaker. I was doing a few paid gigs, but not really enough to quit my day job. But my mentor, Dave, he was amazing. He was graceful. He saw what I was doing. But one of the things that he gave me advice on that I didn't take for 2 years was Darren, stop trying to find the stories that you have. Stop trying to find the story that will launch your career. And instead, take the stories you already have and make them so good, someone will pay to hear them. What? I remember being so jealous of other people having these amazing stories and climbing Mount Everest and having to like the stories, having to like cut an arm off. And it's just like, oh, I wish that would happen to me. No, you don't. So I would bring him a story. How about this one? How about this one? Hey, how about this story? How about this story? And he just shook his head in grace and said, Darren, stop trying to find the stories that will launch your career and instead take the stories you already have and make them so good, someone will pay to hear them. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand. I just thought a story was a story. This thing happened. Let me just go talk about it. I did not understand what he was saying. I didn't understand that there's a structure to a story. What? Well, beginning, middle, and end. No, there's so much more and so easy to grasp if you have the right people explaining it to you. And that's what I did. So I ignored it. I ignored it. I ignored it. And then it was 2001. Dave had passed, and but his wisdom stuck in my head. And finally, I said, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I need to make a change. I was living at home. I was working my day job. I was speaking as often as I could, stage time, stage time, stage time. The one thing I wasn't doing was working on my craft. I didn't take the time to truly take the story I had and examine it. It's work, but I didn't have a chance I didn't make the decision to examine it and say, what needs to go? What should stay? How could I enhance it? What is blah, blah, blah? And honestly, I needed help. I didn't know how to do that. And it's almost impossible to take your own story and make it amazing by yourself. So I finally, in 2001, joined the World Championship of Public Speaking, a speech contest. I thought if I was in a competition, it would force me to work on a story. So I looked at my keynote speech and I pulled out one of the stories to work on it. And my goal was to work on it, to make it so good and then put it back into my keynote speech, thus raising the value of the keynote speech. Because my goal wasn't to win the contest. My goal was to do this for a living and be a paid speaker. So I used the contest to force myself to work on one story. Guess what? That story multiplied. It evolved. It got better and better and better. And as I went up the levels of the speech contest, then I had to pick out a new story because you had to have a different speech. So I pulled out my valet story, and that was my semifinal speech. And I worked on it with my whole goal to put it back in the keynote, raising the value of the whole keynote. If you're a Toastmaster, think beyond the contest. There's so many great stories of people who took their contest speech, like Mark Brown, and literally turned it into a keynote. Think bigger, think beyond the contest. If you're a professional speaker, maybe it's time to reevaluate. Maybe some of your stories need some help. Maybe you need some coaching. But what is it for you? It's going to get you to break through to that next level. Well, one of the things is mentors. We're having an event called Game Changers. We've done it every year, like past 16 years. We put together a cast of characters, world class, 7 of the best speaker coaches and business coaches in the world in one room for 2 days. If you want to check it out, go to stagetimelive.com. We've got a speaker agent, Jennifer Lear, someone who books me. Like, what's the industry look like now? Post-COVID, how is it different now? Things have changed. So join us. Patricia Fripp will be a special guest as well. Join us for Game Changers 2023 coming up in March 24th and 25th, live in Vegas and also hybrid. Love to have you. I get this team together and I take notes. I upgrade my business. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gregory. We're looking forward to having you here and being a part of this. I know you're a VIP as well. So join us at Game Changers live or online 2023. By the way, if you're watching this, use event25 and get 25% off. But that's just saving a couple of bucks. Join us. Be a sponge. And you'll evolve. You transform because you spent, Jim Rohn, that great quote, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Come spend time with us. We'll rock your world. Join us in Vegas or online for Game Changers 2023. Go to stagetimelive.com.